And hello and welcome to the Geek Battle Gaming YouTube channel. Now today I look very different than probably you've ever seen me before if you've seen one of my videos, and that is because I am doing this video using a Game Boy camera to pick up the footage. And the video today is going to be about teaching you the method that I used to be able to broadcast myself using a Game Boy camera. So first of all, just because I know this isn't the highest quality image, I'm going to skip back across just to show you regular me. Ta-da! And hopefully I'll appear, and there I do appear. Now I'm going to tell you everything you need to do it, and unlike a lot of my videos which I edit together, I'm literally just going to do this in one and show you the method so that you can see me doing it in real time and you'll see how easy it is. So because I do have everything I need kind of already connected up just so that I can show you, I'm going to talk you through the things that you need, but it's very simple, and once you've got them all plugged in, then you'll be ready to go. So the first thing you're going to need is one of these. This is a Game Boy camera, and as you can see, my green screen effect is playing havoc with it, but this is a Game Boy camera like you would have got back in the day, back in like 1998, 1999 when it came out. And then the next thing you're going to need for this first method that I'm going to tell you, and I will mention a second method as well, is you're going to need an analog pocket. And as we can see here, this is an original Game Boy. Oh, and I just knocked the screen off the front. There we go. This is an original Game Boy. And so I'm using this in place of an analog pocket. They're about the same size, but they're very, very similar. You plug in the Game Boy camera into the analog pocket, okay? And then what you're going to need is an analog pocket dock. Now here you can see it says dock on it. That is the box, so you know that I actually have this. And you simply plug the Game Boy camera into the dock, and you will stand it up in front of your computer wherever you'd normally have your webcam set up, okay? So if I show you back to the Game Boy camera, you can see that I have it stood up over there. So let's show you the Game Boy camera facing another Game Boy camera. And so my webcam is, if I show you both at the same time, getting very clever now, my webcam is here and I have my Game Boy camera up there. Now the difference in height is because for some reason the Game Boy camera kind of angles downwards, and I think that's because you'd have this back in the day and you'd be like, oh, selfie, before the term selfie even meant anything. And so rather than pointing straight up, it would always point slightly down and you just hold the thing up. So that means that you are going to have your Game Boy camera slightly elevated. So just to recap where we are so far, you're going to need a Game Boy camera, you're going to need an analog pocket, and then you are going to need the analog pocket dock, which is like a Nintendo Switch dock, but for the analog pocket. And these are quite expensive, so I will talk you through another method a little later on, but for now the main focus of this video is going to be about using the analog pocket with an original Game Boy camera and an analog pocket dock, and then we'll tell you how to get set up. So the next thing you're going to need is a video capture card. And the video capture card I'm using is an Elgato HD 60S or something like this. And once you've got it plugged in, then you'll be able to use broadcasting software like OBS or Streamlabs or whatever you use to be able to broadcast your gameplay. That's what I'm sure a lot of people do when they stream online. They'll have a video capture card and then they'll just have it connected up to their computer and stream their gameplay footage. But I'm going to be using very specifically for this today OBS, which is absolutely free to download, and let's show you OBS now. So here we can see the screen of OBS, and I'm going to show you the method to be able to get your Game Boy camera footage into this software. So sometimes the layout of OBS is different depending on the computer or any updates or how you've got things laid out, but you'll want to find where it says sources, and then underneath sources you will want to press the plus, and then you will want to have, where is it, video capture device. Okay, and you bring up this, and look at that, it's showing Snapcam, that old thing that doesn't work anymore. And I'm going to choose to have Elgato Game Capture HD. And when I do that, oh look at that, it's stretched, but it's brought up a duplicate of my Game Boy camera. And so, can I stretch this out, or is it being weird on me? It's being weird. Oh well. Well, anyway, so you can sort out the aspect ratio. I think you right click it and you go on to transform, and then you stretch the screen. There we go, back in business, as they say. And that's all you need to do to be able to have your Game Boy camera feed displaying on your computer. But if you want to be able to use it so that, say you're streaming on Twitch or YouTube, and you just want to have yourself up in the corner so that you've got Fortnite on the main screen, then simply just go down to the corner and resize yourself, and then basically you would want to have your gameplay footage like down here. Oh look at that, I've frozen on this one. Why have I frozen? That's interesting, because I've got too many of me at once, I suppose. So let's come back up to this main one of me, and let's stretch it back out to full size, because we'll continue with this one. So say you want to have a call on Zoom to a loved one. Let's bring up and show you Zoom. So here, ta-da, this is the screen of Zoom, and that's the webcam I'm using here. And you can see I've got a green screen behind me. Normally I have like a virtual background and all that, but I don't for now, because you want to go to the bottom here where it says stop video, and it's got a little arrow above this, and then you'll see the different camera sources or video feeds. And what you want to find is the one that says OBS Virtual Cam, and you click it and it won't work at first. You'll see something like this and you'll think, this isn't working. If I take you back to OBS, so you want to come to where it says here start virtual camera. Now you may have to install virtual camera depending on the version of OBS you're using, but just if it doesn't give this option, just look up how you install or activate virtual camera, and you click start virtual camera. And if we come back over to Zoom, you will now see that I have the Game Boy camera showing me in Zoom. So just once again, if I'm back in OBS and I click stop virtual camera, you'll see this screen. So if you see this and you're wondering why you're not seeing your camera feed from OBS, you'll need to click start virtual camera, and then you will see yourself with the Game Boy camera put in there. Now it doesn't just have to be the Game Boy camera. So if I go like this and make myself small, it's because in OBS I have made myself small. So in theory, on this part of the screen where I'm moving the mouse, you could have like another video game playing that you're playing on your PC. I'm not sure if you can actually have like another console game on there, because you might need a second video capture card to achieve showing both the Analogue Pocket and then whatever you want to appear behind here. Well, let's stretch me to the size of the screen again and bring it back to Zoom. So whilst I'm in Zoom, if I show you up here, I can go and choose whatever webcam I want. So I can choose my stream cam and it will show me like this. And then I can come over here and choose OBS Virtual Camera, and it will show me using my Game Boy camera. Now if I come back to over here, boom, you can see two of me at once, and that's because what you're seeing right now isn't actually from OBS. I'm using Streamlabs OBS, which you can also do in regular OBS. This is where it's going to get a bit confusing. And basically I've resized the Game Boy camera, so like you can see I'm moving it here, and then I've got a second video feed which is just my regular webcam. But if I bring this back to just the Game Boy camera, that is pretty much the methods. Once again, to go over what you need if you're going to use an Analogue Pocket, and in a moment I will tell you the method if you want to do it a different way. But the things you're going to need is you're going to need an analog pocket, you're going to need an analog pocket dock, you're going to need a Game Boy camera, and you're going to need a video capture card like the Elgato one that I'm using. But there are a bunch available. And then you're also going to need the software for your PC, OBS. And then if you're using Zoom or StreamYard or Microsoft Teams, then you just choose OBS Virtual Camera as the video source to put into your video call. Now, I said I'd talk about another method because I know analog pockets are expensive, the dock is expensive, and let's assume you do have a Game Boy camera. Another method that you can do this with is with a original Super Nintendo and a Super Game Boy. So if you plug your Game Boy camera into the Super Game Boy, you'll then need the type of cables to be able to capture footage from your Super Nintendo with your Super Game Boy and the Game Boy camera plugged in. Now I do have up here, can I grab it to show you without knocking everything down at all? I'm going to show you this and I'll make another video on it another day. So let's just come on to intro. I do have this, which is an RF to HDMI, because it might be different depending which country you're in, but my Super Nintendo could only have one of these old cables to connect it to a television, so that was the only method I could have to connect to HDMI, is by using this device here, which, as you can see, has got some Chinese or something on it. But that would be the other method, with an original Super Nintendo and a Super Game Boy with the Game Boy camera plugged in. If you find the method to be able to plug that into your computer and get the image feed from it, then the rest of the steps will be exactly the same. Now, like I said at the beginning, this video is me literally doing this all in one take, and I'm sorry if it's a little bit crazy. I'm not going to do a lot of editing to it. I might just add a little bit of background music or something. Let's go back to the Game Boy camera. But I just did a big review of the Analog Pocket, and I got a couple of messages asking me how I used my Game Boy camera as a webcam, because I spoke about it briefly in there, and I think this is just a really cool thing that you can do. So there you go, for anyone who wants to know this method. Hopefully this has made it all really clear. You need an Analog Pocket, a dock, a Game Boy camera obviously, then you need a video capture card and the software OBS, and then you just use the OBS virtual camera. So that's going to wrap things up for this video. I don't know how many videos I'm going to do using my Game Boy camera as my main camera, but I might do it occasionally just for the fun of it, because it is a fun thing to do, and it's a very unique looking camera feed, isn't it? Now, one thing I should actually say here is, using the Analog Pocket, just before I wrap things up here, you can bring up some settings, and so let's have a look here. So the Pocket, systems, like Game Boy, video, and then color palette. Can you change this? Yes, you can. So color palette, so there I can change it to be in grayscale if I want, or green as it was, blue, or purple. That actually looks more red to my eyes. But let's bring it up on grayscale for a second. So it'll just look like I'm showing you this in black and white. Now that might be more appealing for whatever you've got planned for your videos. So actually I should have done some more of it like this. It looks more like the Game Boy Pocket than the original Game Boy. But let's bring up the menu again, go back to settings, go back to Pocket, systems, Game Boy, and then video. Display mode, no, let's not mess with that. Frame, okay, so I can turn down the sharpness, and doesn't really seem to make a lot of difference. Might make things slightly more pixely, and there, does that make a difference? Does it make it slightly more blurry to change the sharpness? I'm not sure, to be honest. Let's change the color palette. and let's try one in purple. So let's bring this back and let's see what it looks like. Wow, so this definitely doesn't look very purple, at least to my eyes. There might be hints of purple, but it kind of makes me more look like I'm on a Virtual Boy. So that is going to be where I wrap up this video. I hope you found this a bit fun. It was a bit crazy to film and to do this all in one go because I had to have multiple screens and things going on all at once. But if you did find this useful, then please take a moment to smash that subscribe button here on the Geek Battle Gaming YouTube channel and give me some comments. Let me know if this was useful. Let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you'd like me to do more of in the future. I'm going to be tinkering around with the Analogue Pocket, having just done the big review of it, and I've got all kinds of other retro and modern retro stuff on this gaming channel. So if you want to know more about the stuff I do, check out my website www.xstreamed.tv. And with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extremed, and ciao for now. Boom! And I'm off the air.